It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a chilly, wet Wednesday here in the state of South Carolina. I'm already tired of winter. I'm ready for summer to come back in all its glory. This is enough
Winter's
of this winter wonderland stuff in South Carolina.
Yes.
This brutal winter front that we have moving through the state. It's just too much.
You know, as they say, winter is coming.
I guess it is.
December, yeah.
I'm ready for it to leave. Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes, Brian Leonard. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Great show for you tonight because we're going to be up in Rock Hill tomorrow night for the ultimate tailgate party to celebrate the Clemson-USC, USC-Clemson rivalry. And we'll be doing a bunch of stuff up there in Rock Hill. We hope to see you at that event tomorrow night. We'll talk more about that coming up. We're going to condense some things, and tonight, of course, we'll have the M&M boys as usual, but the coach and the quarterback will join us at the bottom of the hour. We shift them to Wednesday this week and next week being a short week because of Thanksgiving. So we'll have that for you tonight. Buddy Pugh, bottom of hour number 2, as the season winds down and perhaps his career at South Carolina State winds down. We'll catch up with the longtime Bulldogs coach. What we want to do here at the outset is move ahead. We can do this. Players and coaches can't. We can move ahead to USC, Clemson, USC next weekend. We're going to open up the express lines at 800-956-7266. Give you a minute. And remember now, when the express lines are open, if we're talking,
no, you
we
mean
stop.
You mean if I'm talking is what you're telling me?
No, it's everybody. But because you talk so much, you're generally talking when somebody calls in.
I don't talk nearly as much as I probably should.
So okay. If we're talking, we could be interviewing President Trump. We could be interviewing Dawn Staley. We could be interviewing
you ain't cutting off
Ryan Holinsky.
So you're not cutting off those people. Come on.
We could have Dabo Sweeney on the line. Whatever. We interrupt to take your phone call. 800-956-7266 is the number.
He's big, he's fast, he's strong.
And what we want is your pick on the ball game next week, the Palmetto Bowl. We'll give you 60 seconds to give us your pick and give us your rationale behind that pick. Now, I was watching again last night the Clemson game. I want to bring this up with the coach and the quarterback and with the M&M boys when they join us, because did I see a little chink in the Clemson armor against Boston College?
No.
On the offensive side?
No.
I know defensively they were as strong as ever because they did not allow an offensive touchdown. But I thought I saw some things with Boston College's defense and the way they were disguising coverages and doing some unusual things that Trevor Lawrence didn't know how to deal with on occasion. And look, they held Clemson to 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and then they had a special teams touchdown. That is not the normal Clemson production. And so the question is Boston College's defense that much better than South Carolina's defense? Can South Carolina's defense go out a week from Saturday night with maybe some unusual looks on defense, change some things up, get away from their norm, and throw him off his game?
How many seniors did Boston College have on that defense?
I don't know why.
Because, usually you got a senior-laden defense that knows how to change looks and whatever.
The coaching staff changes the looks. They make the calls. Their defensive coordinator had a really good game plan.
Yeah, but on the field, the players have to make quick calls and adjustments off the coach's suggestions of a call because they're the ones on the field.
I think you have some sort of, I guess, money coming to you on the TV rating of this game. Is that why are you trying to ratchet up some fake, anticipation for this game that South Carolina is going to come within 30 points of Clemson?
I don't have any money, but yeah, I would like to drum up some interest in the game. It's our duty here on Sports Talk to create the energy for the Palmetto Bowl, which,
here's the energy. When Clemson's going to win by 50.
Okay.
Move on.
I'll take 50. I'll take 50. I'll take 50 for 100 right now. You give me 50 for 100?
For 100?
Yeah.
I only threw out 50 because I don't think it's
witnesses? Do I have 2 witnesses here? I've got 2 witnesses who saying you're going to give me 50 points.
That's not correct.
For 100. You just said 100.
I meant not literally 100.
Oh, okay. So we don't mean what we say anymore.
Well, he brings up an interesting point about 100, though. This is the key. because Dabo Swinney has done it before. When you see mass substitutions late in football games leading up to the postseason. Because Dabo's going to think, okay, well, we got a 30-point lead. You go out, you go out, you go out.
Let's say.
Because we got the championship game coming up.
Oh, of course. There's gonna
Next week.
you're gonna see reserves in the first half against South Carolina because that's how badly they're gonna be beating them, and that's how much Clemson will be trying to conserve for not just the championship game against Pittsburgh or whoever they play, but they also want to make sure that they're healthy for the college football playoff semis. So these two teams are on opposite ends of the spectrum. They could not be on further opposite ends of the spectrum unless South Carolina was under 500. I see no reason. I see no freaking reason why this should be a fourth quarter game. I see none. Absolutely none.
I disagree. I think South Carolina is going to go into Death Valley and make this a respectable ball game.
It's going to make the game 2 years ago look like child's play. Come on.
We shall see. 800-956-7266 is the number if you want to jump in and give us your prediction. Not ready yet to give a prediction in terms of the actual score. We'll do that next week.
63-14. South Carolina loses.
60. So you'll give me 49 points. You'll give me 49 points.
I don't like to wager on sports.
A man who will make a statement, you can only trust his belief in his words if he backs it up with greenbacks.
No, it doesn't.
So you don't truly believe what you're saying because you won't back it up.
Because I don't put money on sports because I don't
you
have
don't
the
put
control
money
over those
where
things.
your mouth is.
I don't put money on anything that I can't physically control. How about that? How about that?
So I guess you don't wager at all on anything?
No,
not really.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah,
I play blackjack.
It's a sad life. Very sad life you live.
I play blackjack, which probably is one of the
it just tells me you don't really believe what you're saying. I believe what I'm saying, and that is I think
just really like
when
my
the
money.
line comes out,
when the line
comes out, and the line will be what? 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. I will take the Gamecocks and the points.
Okay,
against Clemson.
Enjoy losing that money.
All right, we shall see. I think South Carolina showed me something against Florida. That's a pretty good Florida defense, and they went down the field on their first 2 possessions against Florida like knife through butter.
They showed me something.
They just could not keep it going in the second half. They couldn't keep it going in the fourth quarter. They played lousy defense. They're going to have some time to get some people healthy. Now, I know, some guys are out for the season, but they'll probably get Jalen Dickerson back in time for Clemson. That will help. They'll probably get Aaron Sterling back in time for Clemson. That will help. DJ Wanham is back and healthy. That's going to help. Dylan Wanham's going to have another game under his belt at right tackle. That's going to help. I think that we got to jump to the lines here because the express lines are open. We stop. You talk. You've got 60 seconds to give us your prediction and why. Stan, the Tiger Man, welcome.
I'll tell you why. The Tigers have got it going on. It couldn't be no better being a Tiger fan right now with Dabo and the way the coaches and players are gelling together. My pick will be about 51-10.
41 points. So you'll give me 41 points. You'll give me 42 points. No, you'll give me 40 points.
It's really hard to say, and you never know who's going to win, but that's just kind of gut feeling I got right now.
So you do not see a close game, Stan the Tiger Man?
Yes, sir.
You don't? You don't see a close game?
No, so I don't see no close game. I really don't.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll be ordering a beer at the Esso Club for about 10 o'clock just because the game will be over.
Maybe some of your Tiger friends will buy you a beer.
Maybe they will.
800-956-7266. Going to keep the express lines open through the bottom of the hour. You call. We take your call. We stop what we're doing. Prediction and rationale, we give you 60 seconds.
South Carolina showed me something. You said they showed you something. They showed me that they know how to wilt under the pressure. They showed me how they wilted under the pressure against A&M. They showed the same thing against Florida. They were a non-starter against Kentucky and a non-starter in the second half against Georgia. Yeah, they showed me something.
Okay. 800-956-7266.
They don't belong on the same field as Clemson.
I think it'll be a closer game than you are predicting, way closer than what you're predicting. Now, will it go down to the fourth quarter and a final possession kind of thing?
No.
I think South Carolina would obviously love that to be the case. Not going to say that yet, but I do think it'll still be a game going into the second half, and that would be an improvement from a Gamecock standpoint.
I'm curious to see what was in your food today.
All right, we shall continue on your phone calls in a moment.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. The masses have responded in kind to your express lane opening.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiple people texting me whether you are off your meds or whether you need counseling because of the fact that you think that South Carolina is going to gasp, shock, and awe, make this a game next week.
Yeah. You got to believe sometimes. You just got to believe. 800-956-7266. The express lines are open. We give you 60 seconds tonight for a pick and a reason why. Dr. Tiger, you're up next here on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Good evening. Good to see you guys a week or so ago, too, by the way. But I think it'll be at least 56-10 Clemson.
Yeah.
The reason being, you know, this is going to be all of that defense's last game at home. They haven't allowed a touchdown since September. The Clemson starting defense hasn't allowed a touchdown since the Syracuse game. So you know they're not going to allow South Carolina to score. And South Carolina cannot run the football. They can't run the football, and they're not going to run against Clemson.
Okay, 56-10. You got it. 60 seconds, folks. We're going to try and keep it short, keep it moving so as many people as possible can get through because the lines are blowing up. We go to Charlie in North Carolina. Charlie, welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Charlie.
South Carolina.
Okay, sorry.
It's South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay.
It's all good. I'm going to go with Clemson 38-17. And the reason being, I want to say this up and foremost, Dabo has got a lot of class. He has been running the score up on people in a sense of, you know, he can't help it. I mean, he's played 72 people on the roster every game. You know, I mean, it is what it is. It's their job to stop us. But as a diehard Clemson fan, I think it's going to be a little bit closer, being that it's a rivalry, number one, and number two, you know, he wants to still stay a little bit classy. I know I see that in Dabo's eyes.
All right. Thank you.
Petty Dabo still exists, by the way. He did hang 77 on Louisville.
Muschamp is a defensive genius.
You wanted him fired a couple of days ago.
I didn't say fire him. He is a defensive genius. That's what his reputation is. He will come up with a defensive plan.
Well, you going to teach him how to tackle by then?
With all kinds of different looks. Okay, we got – I'm sorry. The rules are we have to go to the calls. Alex in Myrtle Beach, you got 60 seconds. Pick it and tell us why.
Okay, two. First football, then a quick thing about basketball. Football, I can't believe that Mr. Pelagic said you're getting tweets about you're off your meds. That's ridiculous because you should be on medication.
No, I am on heavy medication.
Well, because I'm a Gamecock fan all the way. And you convinced me. I called a couple weeks back and about Alabama's going to blow Clemson out. And you're like, well, Clemson's got the front four. You know, this front four guys. So I'm going to make a prediction. I'm Gamecock all the way. I'm going to say 52-17.
How much?
About basketball.
How much?
52. Clemson, South Carolina 17.
Okay, so you got a blowout. Okay, all right, very good. Nobody thinks it's going to be tight. You're going to be shocked.
I'm not shocked.
Gilbert in Chesterfield. Hello, Gilbert. Welcome to
Yes,
Sports
sir.
Talk.
How y'all doing?
60 seconds. Spit it out.
Y'all doing good. I'm down here in Tannehill country.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen. I think everybody's making a very, very big mistake. I think if they'll play like they did the first half against Florida, the first three quarters, I think it'll be within. If they go in the fourth quarter within 7 points, it'll be a very, very close ball game. I think you're looking at 24-20, one way or the other.
All right, 24-20, one way or the other. Okay,
Florida?
Sorry, got to go. You got 60 seconds.
Florida would get blown out by Clemson. Just saying.
The guy just wants some hope. He's just trying to give people hope. Jay and Lancaster.
I hope to date Kate Upton someday, but that ain't happening either.
Well, she's married.
I know.
You trying to break up a happy marriage?
Marriage is
you are a
all
dirt
the time.
bag. You know what you are? You are a scumbag. You want to break up a happy marriage.
Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande were soulmates too for about 5 minutes.
Jay and Lancaster, hello.
Hey,
Yeah, that last guy I said it's from Tannehill country. I believe he's been in Tannehill's bar, sounds like to me.
Say.
I'd have had Phil with him. All in real quick, but it's 55-10. It's just that simple. I mean, you know, talk about running up the score and all that stuff. Dabo's classy. He's not going to run up the score, but Dabo's not going to be able to help. Will Muschamp is not the answer in Columbia. Who has Carolina beat with a pull since he's been there?
Tennessee, first year.
One more thing, another prediction. Our fourth-string running back, Lynn J. Dixon, will have 100 yards rushing against the Gamecocks.
Ben Batson might have a touchdown pass.
Are they going to have
South
4
Carolina.
100-yard rushers? Holy cow.
Chuck, they won't keep the first 3 in that long.
Greenwood, you're up next on Sports Talk, 60 seconds. Let her rip.
Yes, sir. I'm going to say this could be the biggest beatdown between these two teams in history. And I think about 60 points. And I don't think there's any need in y'all pinning false hopes on Carolina fans because Clemson and Carolina are not in the same football universe, man. I'm 59 years old. I've been keeping up with this a long time. And Carolina's just, I don't know what they need to do, but to make it quick, the offense is no good. The defense is no good. The coach is no good. So maybe y'all can pick it up from there, but I'm going to say 60 points, Tigers.
Thank you very much.
51 is the biggest blowout, I believe, between the two. I believe that's 1900.
Gee, I wonder what we're going to get here. Singing Tiger. You got 60 seconds to strum your song.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. And I like the way you are trying to ratchet it up. I think Steve Spurrier is a master.
Hey, singing, talking to your phone because we can't hear you.
Well, I miss Steve Spurrier because he knew how to ratchet it up like that.
And he also had a competitive team, you know, over much of his time against the Tigers.
Something Muschamp's never had.
Yep. Well, of course, Muschamp inherited a very bad situation. He's trying to build it up slowly. All right, real quick, Singing Tiger, what you got for us?
Spoiler alert, he still has one.
What's your pick, and tell me why?
Okay, well, it's going to be the magic number 80 this year. 80 or 42 in my tie.
Hey, kid, speakerphone is
we got to let you go, my man. Call back because you're fading out. We can't hear you.
Speakerphone is not.
Let's go to Tommy in West Columbia next on Sports Talk. 60 seconds, sir.
Tommy, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My score is based on a trivia question. I know Phil's a big trivia man. Which football stadium has more Tiger paws than Clemson?
What stadium has more Tiger paws than Clemson?
Yeah, you got to hurry up. I only got 60 seconds.
This sounds like a Williams-Brice Stadium answer, so I'll say Williams-Brice.
You're right. You're right.
And why is that?
Well, all of those big light vents that go up that make the place look like a upside-down scoop or something. You know, the big metal light vents?
Yes.
Local steel company furnished those, and the guy that was the executive vice president was a Clemson graduate, and he had stencils sent out, and they put thousands of stencils of tiger paws inside of them.
No way.
Like 4 feet high.
No way. No way.
That sounds like a Cowboy fan excavated like FedEx.
We're going to have to investigate. I will send Will up on a ladder.
Story. No, it's a true story. I worked at this company. I'm not going to say what it is because Carolina fans won't be buying steel beams for their wives this Christmas there.
So you're saying inside the cement on the steel beams?
If you're buying
no, inside the huge light vents that go up and light the field.
Can you see them? Can you go see the tiger paws?
They're on the inside. He said.
Well, yeah. They have wires inside that go to the lights. Yeah, they have like a 4-foot opening that the workers can go in there and work on the wires if anything goes wrong.
Don't send steel beams to your wives.
All right, give me your pick real quick. We got to roll.
Okay. I think it'll be about 45-17.
45-17. Thank you. We got to check that thing out about tiger paws. So I'll get you a ladder, maybe a 15-foot ladder. You can go up there.
Not nearly as nimble as I used to be.
From me. Can we? Okay, we're going to wait. Listen, folks, we got some interviews coming up. We'll pick this up after the maybe latter part of the show. After we talk to Coach Pugh, we've got the coach and the quarterback coming up. We got the M&M boys. We'll keep this going through next week on our live shows. Of course, Thanksgiving will be a pre-recorded show.
And if you're a physician, could you call in and prescribe Corn some sort of antidepressant? because I think he's off it.
No, I'm up. I don't need to be brought down. I am up. Back in a moment.
You're up something.
Trying, Brian.
Well, now we've clearly medicated Corn a little bit. I'm hoping that we've at least given you at least some sort of lucidness.
You know how medicated I am right now?
How?
I'm going to break in on Chuck Reedy by announcing a women's basketball commitment.
Oh.
For USC. As Letitia Amahir, 6'3", out of Ontario, commits to Dawn Staley. That's 3 top 15 commitments for
now,
Dawn Staley.
6'3" is equivalent at about 6'10" or 6'11" in the men's game.
So, I mean, Frank Martin recruited in Canada. You didn't bash him for recruiting in Canada. It actually is.
No, I'm not bashing.
It's worked out pretty hard.
I only bash them because they don't keep the players in state. But that's an argument for another day. Chuck Reedy never had that problem keeping players in state. When he wanted somebody, by God, except for Herschel, he went out and got him.
Well, Herschel
wasn't in state.
I'm talking about overall. Overall, you usually got your man. But you think if Herschel had grown up in, let's say, Easley, you'd have gotten him?
Yeah. Anywhere in South Carolina, we'd have got.
Wait a minute. Now, Georgia Vince was still going to give him that. What was it? A Firebird or Thunderbird? What was it? What kind of bird was it?
Yeah, it was that Pontiac Fire. What's a Firebird? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Trans Am, wasn't it?
Trans Am.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Trans Am.
See,
black one.
Your problem was the one you gave him was orange, and he didn't want it in orange. He wanted it in black.
and
Chuck,
that
was the problem.
And Chuck said if he'd have come to Clemson, he wouldn't have left early for the USFL.
Hey, let me tell you, you started something now. But he almost left after his freshman year. And then that's when they built the house for his family. Keep him there for the second year. That's true story now. I mean, I saw it.
I guess the statute of limitations has run out here. You can make all kind of accusations against Vince.
The snark is strong with this one, is what you're telling me.
It is Chuck Reedy time because Steve Tannehill's in Missouri. Where would he be hunting in Missouri?
Maybe on the Boot Heel, maybe by the Black River, southeast Missouri, somewhere like
the Ozarks, maybe.
No,
well, near the Tennessee border, that little border of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was. He told me he'd be hunting, and he did tell us. Well, he indicated he'd be with us, but he ain't. So we will deal with you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Before we look ahead, let's look back and let's go to South Carolina and Florida in the swamp. What did you think? Now, did they have back in your day? Did they have RPOs? Was that there just called something different, or is this an evolution of offense after your time?
We had what we called combos, which meant that you called two. You could have a 2-play combo. You could have a 3-play combo. In other words, where you called a run strong or a run weak, or you may have a run strong, run weak with a pass. So the quarterback had options. But the difference in the RPO, the decision is made, after the ball is snapped. When we would call 2 plays or 3 plays, the quarterback would make the call at the line of scrimmage. And so when the ball was snapped, everybody knew exactly what the play was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference. The RPO, I mean, now it all transpires, after the ball is snapped, and the quarterback is obviously keying on a certain defender and then makes a decision based on that. The thing that, I of course I read Coach Muschamp, and they talk about, well, they call the same things. They're calling RPOs, but they're ending up having to run the ball. Well, it's like we discussed earlier in the year. The defense, they know what you're doing. They can dictate to you that you run it every time.
Mm-hmm.
They can give you looks that would pretty much force you to run it all the time, and that's why you can't just be an RPO football team all the time, or even a large percentage of the time. I don't think.
Yeah. So, I mean, his explanation, because, the criticism from the fans rained down on the offense, even though I put the blame on the defense for not protecting a 17-point lead over the last 20 minutes, but we'll get into that. But the criticism rained down on the play calling, and his response was, well, we called the same stuff. It was the RPOs. You make a great point. I never really thought about that. So it makes you a great offensive mind and me not. The defense can make you do what it wants basically by how they line up.
Yes.
And if
you didn't realize that?
Well, I'm hearing it now. So the question is, as a play caller, as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, shouldn't you try and put the emphasis, put the control back on your own side and make definite calls? Like, let's throw the ball. Let's keep the pedal to the metal here a little bit.
Yeah, well, or you can make Again, you can give yourself. You can go to the line of scrimmage. I mean, this is what we did. I mean, at Clemson, at Baylor, and we did it at Goose Creek for 13 years. You can give your quarterback, 2 runs and a check with me. Well, he's got a run strong, a run weak. Check with me gives him the option to call any number of pass plays, depending on how the defense is lined up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can give them a lot of options at the line of scrimmage that, that could put you in good plays when the ball is snapped without having to wait and make the decision after the ball has already been snapped.
So, Chuck, Corn and I have been a bit of a philosophical disagreement. What else is new? He seems to pit Carolina's loss last week solely on the defense not being able to protect the lead. My contention is it more of a whole team failure, and I go back to the A&M game because I feel like those 2 games ended very similarly with the offense acting passively and not giving the defense enough time to rest on the sideline and causing them to play poorly on both sides of the football. How do you assess the blame on Saturday's defeat?
No, I think I agree. It's a team effort. It goes both ways. I mean, obviously, the offense is still moving the football, and even if they're not scoring points, if they're taking time off the clock and keeping the Florida offense off the field, then you're still going to win the game. But when you're not moving the ball and you're 3 and out, and your defense is back out there, and
throwing picks.
Carolina's defense is so thin. They weren't very good to begin with, and now they're banged up. Really across the board. You just can't put them in that kind of situation, and of course, when you give up 300 and some yards rushing, you're not going to beat anybody.
Yeah, but I understand it's a team sport, and there's a lot of blame to go around. I get that. It's not. I had to pick out an area that I thought where they could have won, and I mean, all you needed was the defense to come up with a fumble, the defense to come up with a stop. Right. And I know they're hurting on the back end, but I mean they're not hurting on the front end. I mean they were running through the defensive line and the linebackers there quite a bit, and the seams that Florida was creating up front were, and those running backs, they seem to be able to take their time and find their gaps.
Well, they did, but South Carolina, I mean they've been thin up front all year. I mean they don't have any depth up there. I mean I watch Kinlaw every play just because, obviously I have a vested interest in him,
mm-hmm.
and he hardly ever comes off the field. I mean, they do try to, get him out every now and then, but, and he's out there and he plays hard. I mean, I'm very impressed with what he does, but, defensive linemen, those guys, they can't play 70 snaps. They've got to have, some rest somewhere along the way, and I think they just get worn down. And I mean, no, if you can't. And the most frustrating thing in the world for a coach is when you can't stop the run because you're over there on the sideline and they're running it and they're getting 5 yards and it's 2nd and 5, and then they run it again and it's 3rd and 1 and they run it again 1st down. I mean, and you're helpless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean. It's a terrible feeling, and that's what happened. I mean, and it's just, and then when because they're running the ball so well, all of a sudden, Felipe Franks, he starts looking like a good quarterback.
He did. He looked like a little Tebow. All right, we'll come back and continue with you in a moment.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
A couple more minutes here with Chuck Reedy on the half edition of Coach and the QB. Coach and the QB is in the deer stand again.
That guy loves to hunt.
Pro had a question about
loves to hunt.
About
somehow you one day see the deer sitting in his stand hunting after Tannehill at some point. But Coach, just about any situation, not only South Carolina, but you got a 17-point lead. You're going late in the third quarter. When do you, no matter what play you have called, wait until 2 or 3 seconds every time you snap the ball for the play clock to go off? When do you milk the play clock?
Well, I've done it in the third quarter, but not what you just break the huddle later, so it doesn't look obvious. You just tell the quarterback you break the huddle, with about 10 or 12 seconds on the clock, and you go to the line. Nobody knows that you're milking the clock. They don't know it. You're not up there standing there waiting, and letting the clock run down. You just tell the quarterback, but, even your own players don't even know you're doing it. So it doesn't, they don't think you're going into a shell. But you can milk the clock, without anybody knowing that you're doing it other than the quarterback. And you just, again, you break the huddle a lot later, but you're running the clock down every play.
It's interesting, Chuck, as we spin it now to Clemson, Boston College. Corn and I saw this game a little bit differently. I think that Clemson, once again, held control. It was always kind of going to be an ugly game because of the weather. Once again, career highs in completions for Trevor Lawrence, over almost 300 yards. He seems to think that the game might have showed a little chink in the armor of Clemson because they only scored 20 offensive points and had a touchdown via special teams. What did you see from Clemson this past week, and do you still think that they're firing on all cylinders?
Let me add one thing here before you answer. And what I was saying was I thought that the defensive staff of Boston College threw some exotic stuff at Lawrence. And at times there, he looked a bit lost in what he was looking for down the field. He got sacked a couple of times, had to throw the ball away some, had a pick. And I'm thinking, South Carolina's got to do the same thing when they get to them next week. So now what do you think?
Well, no, I agree that I think they did affect him a little bit. And he wasn't as accurate on his deep throws as he usually is. I mean, he missed some deep throws that, could have blown the game wide open. But, yeah, in Boston College, I thought they did a great job. I mean, offensively, they just couldn't do anything. Of course, they lost the quarterback first series. But, Clemson, I mean, they did what they had to do. And, I think they're still right on track. And, I just, I've said it all along. I mean, there's only 2 really good football teams, them and Alabama. And I've watched Alabama a lot the last few weeks, and I'm not so sure that they're better than Clemson. I think both of them are very good. Both of them have, maybe secondaries aren't the best, that they could be, but other than that, both of them are pretty solid, pretty much across the board.
All right, so we've already started our talk tonight looking ahead. We're not, forgetting about the games this weekend, but we're kind of forgetting about the games this weekend because, South Carolina, Chattanooga, Clemson, Duke, they shouldn't have too much trouble. So next week, I mean, I'm putting up the argument. I am putting up the argument, and I'm saying this with a straight face and legitimately, that I think at least into the second half, this could still be. Let me rephrase that. Into the second half, this will still be a football game. Unlike, well, certainly 2 years ago. I think last year it was still a ball game into the second quarter.
It was a ball game until the first play of the second half. And then it was over.
So I'm saying maybe you give South Carolina, because I think they're going to look at Boston College, see some of the things they did defensively, look at Syracuse, see some of the things they did defensively, knowing they've got, still a young quarterback, maybe try and throw him off his game a little bit. Now, I know they've got to figure out a way to slow down the running game.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, maybe South Carolina can get the game, into the second half. I don't think so. I mean, I think Clemson will, I think they'll have a hard time stopping Clemson. Clemson's going to score some points, and I don't see South Carolina scoring a lot of points on Clemson.
You say this with sadness in your voice. You sound almost depressed when you say this.
Well, for everybody that loves football in the state of South Carolina, it would be good, if the game, if the rivalry was competitive. I mean, the last few years, I mean, it hadn't been, much of a game. I mean, it would just be good for, I think, everybody. I mean, obviously the diehard fans want their team to win by 100 points, but just for football fans, it would be good if it was competitive. And I'd love to see Carolina get the game, into the fourth quarter and it be a good football game. But I just, the talent disparity is still such. And what's amazing to me, Clemson played. They've gone the last 3 years very, very few injuries. I mean, they don't. I mean, they don't miss guys. And South Carolina's got guys every week, injured.
Any idea? Do you have any idea? Is it what Batson is doing in his weight room and something South Carolina's not doing?
Well, it has to be weight room. And that's certainly got to be a part of it. The other thing is when you're winning, guys, they have to be really hurt not to play. I mean, you just, but a team that's, not that South Carolina's struggling, but, how do you? I don't know. I don't want to get into.
Are you saying if you're a little dinged up, you're more willing to sit it out if you don't think your team is going to win?
My contention, Coach, is this: when you see Clemson play, not only do they have depth, but they have a lot of 3 and outs. South Carolina, with that bend and break defense, you see the same guys on the field. Other team may march 50, 60 yards on an 8 to 10 play drive, and then you hope they sell for a field goal. Then the team comes back out there and the same guys on the field for a long period of time. My feeling is if you got great depth and you can get off the field with a lot of 3 and outs, you'll stay healthy.
Right. And I agree with that. And, but there's got to be something there because, I mean, I look back the last 3 years, I'm sure they have. I just don't remember Clemson having any key player on either side of the ball that they've lost for the year. I mean, I'm sure they have. I just don't remember it happening.
He had a defensive lineman lost for the year, didn't he? Last year, big.
Well,
Dexter Lawrence barely played. Most of the year.
Austin Bryant was out a good bit. But this year they have been, except for a nick here and a nick there. Now they lost Jurgen to an injury early in the year,
but he wasn't projected to be a big
backup.
Yeah. As far as their frontline guys, they've stayed healthy. Let me just say this, and we'll let you go. Over the last 3 years, the Gamecocks total. They've scored 3 points in the first half against Clemson. I will predict tonight they will have more than 3 points in the first half.
That's cute.
Next Saturday, not this Saturday, following Saturday. They will score a touchdown in the first half against Clemson, or I will walk naked. No, I'm not going to do that again. I've already done that once.
Yeah, you have got to arrest it.
Anyway, we'll talk more about it with you next Wednesday.
Next week.
We gotta make you eat like a ghost pepper or something.
And then we'll be at the Comeback Shack in a couple of weeks. Can't wait for that.
Oh, that sounds great.
I think we're going to do this is the free food for everybody promotion, right?
Stay in business, giving it away, man.
Hey, thank you, Coach. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week. Thanks for doing double duty tonight.
We go from rational discussion to the M&M boys next when we come back on Sports Talk.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. We have got recruiting coming up for you at the bottom of the hour. We'll catch you up on the basketball signing. Again, the USC women getting a very good-looking, can't say that, can I? A good-looking prospect, should say a good-looking lady, a good-looking prospect out of Ontario, Canada, committing this afternoon, adding to a impressive haul for Dawn Staley. It is Letitia Amahir, 6'3", out of Milton, Ontario, Canada. That's 3 top 10, top 15 type players, and they're hanging on for one or two more in a class that already is ranked as high as number 5 in the country.
Clemson is already underway with Sam Houston State, 7-6. The Clemson men lead over Sam Houston State. Marquise Reed has 5 of the first 7.
All right, and in just a moment, the M&M boys. We've got Will standing by. The pastor is going to join us in just a second. Quick word on USC basketball last night. Looked better.
Yes.
Moved the ball, made the extra pass, had a lot of assists, made some shots, step in the right direction.
Best looking backcourt we've seen in Frank Martin's arsenal since the Final Four team. I think TJ Moss, AJ Lawson are going to make big things happen for them.
AJ Lawson just needs 20 more pounds. That'll be taken care of next summer in the weight room.
All right, to the M&M boys we go. We've got one of the big M's with us, Will Merritt, former Clemson star offensive lineman, former analyst on the Clemson Radio Network, TV color commentator, speech maker, and all-around good guy. How are you, Will?
I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing great. So good to have you with us. So,
man, it sounds good. And by the way, Phil, you cannot say when you're talking about a female recruit how good she looks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I said prospect.
You got to stop doing that.
I said good-looking prospect.
I mean, we all know what you mean, but you just can't say it.
Well,
phrasing. Hashtag phrasing.
In a politically correct world that we live in.
Hey, listen, when you signed back in 1972, whenever it was,
that's right.
I said,
it was the year of our Lord, 1972.
You were the last person taken in the class, which was okay. You're not first. You might as well be last. But I said, good-looking prospect coming out of Wren High School one day could develop into a fine lineman.
Now, when he said he was a good-looking prospect, was it because of what?
No, Phil, you're lying. Because when I signed, they had just started the star class. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was 1 through 5 stars. I was a 0 star. Okay.
It was because of your performance at the Old Country Buffet, right? No,
that's right.
No,
yeah,
no.
Right.
He actually
I didn't eat enough steak.
You actually,
I mean, and I tried so hard.
You actually were at the Touchstone Energy Bowl, back then known as the North-South Game, and you stood out, and I think that helped you earn your scholarship back then.
And listen, I don't doubt my performance that day at all. You know, I mean, I ate more steak than anybody there.
All right,
and then,
let me get you to back off your phone a little bit because you're overdriving.
I thank the good Lord for everybody involved.
You're overdriving your phone a little bit. That Walmart special there just can't handle the big voice, so back off just a little bit. What'd you think of Clemson? Now, I thought we talked about this earlier. Tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. I thought offensively they had some issues with some things Boston College was doing, and I think that Trevor Lawrence a little bit was thrown off his game by the BC defense. Agree or disagree?
No, I completely agree. And I think that Dazio does that to you. I mean, he's going to throw some things at you. That's a tough team to play, man. I mean, they're 8-2 for a reason. Okay, they've won 8 ball games for a reason. They're a tough ball club.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody talks about the fact that they're going to be just an easy win. They're not with him as the head ball coach. And I've even talked to some of the assistant coaches since then, and he's really a good football coach, and they're well prepared. So no, I'm not surprised at all that he was thrown off his game.
What did you see defensively? You know, Boston College did some erotic things on defense, mixed some things up.
They went from
off the chart sort of stuff.
Erotic.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Mm-hmm.
They went from press man to like cover 2, which they never do.
I'm very.
I mean, they are. And so, I mean, when they go to press man to like cover 2 and even a cover 3, like they went even to a zone defense. That's not what they normally do. And so, I mean, Trevor had to adjust on the fly.
Let me change that word to exotic. Not erotic. I meant exotic.
Yeah.
Too bad.
I was wondering what you meant by erotic.
I can call you out on so many things you've already said so far.
So can I. My only thing is this, Will. I look at that game and I think that was always going to be a game they had to win ugly, and really just kind of proves to me, and even just looking and spinning this forward, and we'll talk about Alabama later when Corey joins us, but just from my perspective, Clemson right now is playing in an overdrive, and they're not in cruise control anymore. They are putting the pedal to the metal, and they are hammering down on the accelerator because they know this is the time of year that they have to play up to their best because they're seeing these teams that can possibly end the miracle and end the undefeated season.
Okay, so I'll turn that back around on you. Do you want to play us right now?
I don't think so.
Exactly. And so Duke doesn't want to play us. South Carolina doesn't want to play us. Miami doesn't want to play us. Virginia Tech doesn't want to play us. I mean, if you were a team, would you want to play us right now?
I wouldn't.
Exactly.
Well, I think
that's
think
what they're doing right now. So I understand what you're saying, and I get your question. Okay. I mean,
Will, I think the Gamecocks.
The line was we were going to beat Boston College by 20, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, that's outstanding. I mean, how would you? That's outlandish. Why would you put that line so much? And we went 20.
Yeah, you covered
27-7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you covered. It was 19 and a half. 19 and a half, and you covered.
19. So I mean, I'm saying if you were an opposing team.
I'm agreeing with you.
Would you?
Well, I'm going to say this. I think the Gamecocks are going to want a little piece of you week after next.
I'm sure they do, because they could ruin our season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
wanting it and taking it is two different things, though.
Okay. So what are they going to do to beat us?
I think they're going to mix up a lot of things. Look, they're going to have basically 2 weeks to get ready. You know, while Clemson has to.
Okay.
Clemson has to put some focus on Duke.
I'm asking you.
I gotta believe, and let's bring in Corey as the pastor of Payne joins us now. Sorry, Will, you're going to have to leave the stage here for a moment.
Oh my gosh, I have to leave the stage for this guy.
Pastor, you can jump right in. I gotta believe the Gamecocks are doing some work on Clemson this week. You agree or disagree?
I totally agree. Again, they're going to win the game against Chattanooga. I mean, they should win that with just sheer talent. Now, in years past, because I used to do the Southern Conference games with the ESPN network, there's some good football teams, but not this year. I think the Gamecocks will roll. And yes,
Will, let him talk. We can't hear him.
I'm sorry. Wake me up when he's done.
What's going to make this season is upsetting the Tigers next weekend.
Oh, are you calling it?
Yes. It's going
Whoa! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's going to happen.
That's why he was late to the show. He was smoking crack.
That's all. I got a real job that pays me.
And pays you the big bucks.
That's right.
He was smoking crack. Good gosh.
All right, Corey,
Come on, man.
Corey, back it up.
Y'all all know that South Carolina's got no chance of beating Clemson.
Corey, what's your rationale?
Why do I think that they can win the football game?
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing. I think Clemson is overhyped, if you ask me. I think this is just, one of these things, as I said in years past.
An overhyped 10-0 team in the.
You beat a bad Boston College football team. Everybody's trying to hype up. You should have lost to Syracuse team, who's not really ranked. That's the 12th best team in the country.
Please keep on for one more segment. I'm begging you.
They haven't played anybody since A&M.
All right, hang on. Pastor, you got to turn up your volume to override Will here because he's crushing you with his voice. He's about to blow that phone up. The two of you hang on, and we will be back to continue in just a moment.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Clemson leading 15-7 on Sam Houston State. They're about 6.5 minutes into the first half. That's, by the way, number 19 Clemson playing tonight. One important note for Clemson, Elijah Thomas, who had a fever about 2 days ago of about 101, did get the start for Clemson, so he's in there playing. He's played he's played 4 minutes so far, so he's at least getting himself in there and I guess getting a good sweat, probably easy for him coming off that flu. Maybe hoping that breaks. So we'll see.
That's tough to play with the flu like that. All right, back to the M&M boys. Corey Miller and Will Merritt, both of whom know what it's like to play through illness, play through injury, and
sometimes work with the ill.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, Pastor Payne, Will let Corey talk for a second because you're overriding him. Go ahead, Corey. You were explaining why South Carolina will beat Clemson.
Well, I think, South Carolina's a really good football team. Now, they haven't played their best football, but if they can score in the football, we've seen that as the last couple of weeks. The running game, if they rush for over 100 yards, they will win the game. That's going to be my big key. If South Carolina can rush for 100, they'll win the football game because you look at the record when they rush for 100, it's that winning percentage is high. So the defense got to get better. I don't think that concerns me. The secondary, because they're banged up. Bryson Allen Williams won't be available. And they're thin back there. So that doesn't concern me with the passing game. I think this is going to be a good football game. I don't think, they're going to get blown out. I really don't. And I think Clemson is a little overhyped. I mean, who have they beat? Everybody's talking about Alabama and all this stuff. Who in the world has Clemson beat of note? Don't tell me freaking Syracuse. I mean, because you think Syracuse is the 12th best team in the country, you need to stick with that.
Well, I mean, they did beat Boston College, but they knocked out the quarterback. I was just thinking about this too, Will and Corey. Maybe I should have asked this question of a coach, but when is college football ever going to start protecting the quarterback the way the NFL is over the top protecting the quarterback? Because what Christian Wilkins did to Brown the other night would have been a flag in the NFL. There's no question about it because he threw his weight right on top of him and he, crushed the kid's rib cage or something, collarbone or rib cage. Will?
Yeah, that was a WWE move, and you're right. I think, I don't like the NFL rules. I think they've got too soft with the calls. But what Christian Wilkins did was totally, that would have been a foul and a fine if he had been in the NFL. But again, I mean, when you're a defensive player,
are you kidding me? This is coming from a guy that played that many years in the NFL, opposite of LT, that pride themselves on destroying quarterbacks, and he's now wanting to be a little. He's going to be a crybaby about that. Are you kidding me?
I thought the play was legal.
You cry, little baby. That's what you want to come up with. That's why you're going to lose the game.
Will, you know that. So what if one of those players say, hey, I'm going to take it upon myself, I get a shot at Trevor Lawrence.
All right. So Corey, give me one reason. Give me one reason how you can beat us.
I just gave you the reason.
He said 100 yards rushing for 100 yards plus.
That's not going to happen. So give me another reason.
That is going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Listen, I've heard this for 5 straight years, and you've been beaten by 500,000 to 3.
4 years.
So literally, give me a good reason.
I think you got a little bit of that flu that basketball player has. You can't think straight.
Yeah, 4 years, Will. It's only been 4.
Right.
Corey, y'all been destroyed. Y'all been destroyed 4 years in a row. It's going to be 5 years in a row. It's not going to be any different.
One of the games was close, at least by the score.
Yeah.
Okay.
37-32.
I'm sorry. There was that 1 year that y'all kept it close.
And I do think I said this earlier tonight. South Carolina scored 3 points combined in the first half of the last 3 games. I think the Gamecocks will score a first half touchdown. Agree or disagree? Will.
I agree. I think they will keep it within 5 touchdowns.
The secondary is weak, and nobody has taken advantage of that yet.
Oh, because you have a quarterback that can throw it? Really?
Jake Bentley has thrown for over. He's gone over.
Secondary might be weak. You can keep it within 5 touchdowns because you have a quarterback that. Oh, you're right. He's proven himself all year long. He's dependable.
He's thrown for over 6,000 yards, Will.
That's right.
In his career.
So we'll see what he does.
In the SEC. Now, this is the SEC we're talking about, not your,
All right,
not your pantyhose ACC.
Let's go ahead and put a preemptive bet on what we're going to do next week.
Well, Will Pelagic's already given me South Carolina in 49.
49.
Willie P. He's giving me 49 points.
I said 63.
That's a lot.
What is that? What did I say? 63.
64-19.
63-17, I thought you said.
Now, that's already been done.
How long have you been in South Carolina, Pelagic?
I've been about 18 months.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's still learning the landscape.
I don't need to learn the landscape. I know how the look that these two football teams are.
Corey, on the air right now, what are we going to bet?
I don't bet. I told you that. I don't bet.
Anymore.
Oh, you're just a pansy.
I'm going to tell
63-14 is what I said. 63-14.
Come on now. You got to put something on the line.
What's going to happen, Will, is what you've done 2 out of the last 3 years. When it came down, we can't find you.
But here's the beauty is we're in the national conversation. Yeah, nobody's talking about y'all.
But that will change if they pull off the upset.
They're not going to pull off the upset, and everybody knows that.
Okay, it's happening, brother. It's going to happen.
All right.
You know what's going to
I mean, everybody's talking about us
on
the national scene. Nobody talks about.
Will
South
Ben
Carolina.
Batson throw a touchdown pass? That's a question.
Do what now?
Will fourth string quarterback Ben Batson throw a touchdown pass?
Who's Ben Batson?
I would say no.
Now, here's the question, Corey. I mean, what Clemson has been beating people so badly. You know, they're throwing passes to the offensive tackle. They're putting Renfro in at quarterback.
Yeah.
They're putting Darion Kent. I mean, they're toying with people, except Boston College.
They're having fun.
So is that going to be the way this game's going to end up?
But that's coming.
The only way I see it ending up that way is because it's South Carolina.
Hang on, Corey. Hang on,
if
Corey.
they're up by 4 or 5 touchdowns, yes, they're going to do it.
Well, Corey, what do you think?
They don't play anybody. Of course, you give Christian a touchdown.
And you're a nobody. You're the next nobody.
Who's put his son? We know he wouldn't even be on the team if that wasn't Dabo's son.
Corey.
So, I mean,
Corey, what you're not understanding is you're the next nobody on our schedule.
No, that would be Duke. That would be Duke and then South Carolina.
Duke. But then you're the next nobody on our schedule.
And that next nobody has curve stumped you 5 of the last 9 years. Okay,
right, but nobody cares about South Carolina anymore because you're not even a rival anymore. You're just the next nobody.
That's
and
the
then
question.
we go on to the national championship.
Will, does this game – all right, Corey, hang on. Will, does this game mean anything to the Clemson people anymore? Really?
Yes, it always means something.
But here's the difference. Will
to.
Muschamp goes to bed at night, wakes up in the morning, and spends his entire day thinking, how can I close the gap with Clemson? And Dabo Swinney doesn't even give South Carolina a second thought.
Was that true, Corey?
Well, listen, what you got to do is we got to find a good big church that he's a part of. And I know how to close the gap. I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? And so
I don't know what you're talking about.
Say, what Will has done 2 out of the last 3 years is disappear. Regardless, whether it be South Carolina or Alabama, he's getting ready to disappear. And next college football season, 2019, we won't talk to him until about the 9th or 10th week during the college football season because he's going to disappear. So whether you get it now or later, buddy, like the candy, what flavor do you want? You want garnet or black or the crimson? Either way, it's coming, brother. It's coming. There is a tidal wave coming. You can bet your bottom dollar on that one. It's going to come one way or the other. Because you know what? Take a cover to sit your A down.
This is the sermon.
Because it's coming.
Corey, whatever you want to say. Hey, man, you know what? We've won 100 games in the last 98. And we're number 2 in the country, and we're playing for the national championship. We're in the college football playoff. You can make yourself feel as good as you want to. We're there every year, and everybody's talking about us, and nobody talks about you. Nobody talks about y'all.
The serious thing about you playing for the national championship is I think Dabo will try to get a lead early so he can liberally substitute because he wants those guys healthy for the postseason.
Guys.
So why do y'all even call Corey? Why do y'all call him?
We love him. We have a
right. So he's not relevant.
They're not relevant.
We have a long-standing love affection for Corey.
I know, and I love him too, and that's why I want you to keep calling him.
We got to go.
I love him too.
You guys have a great week.
South Carolina, the Clemson
Talk
Tigers,
to you
the
next
Buffalo
week.
Bills.
Back in a moment.
Number 2.
Buffalo Bills.
Under 8 timeout at Little John Coliseum. 21-16, Clemson leading Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State's hanging with the Tigers here. Marquise Reed has 10 of the 21 points. Clemson shooting 8 of 17 from the field, but just 1 of 7 from downtown. They have not scored in their last 220. We'll keep an eye on that one for you as we continue across the evening.
All right. Also tonight, you've got Upstate leading VMI 26-24, 3:35 to go in the half.
According to Tweeter, also Zion Williamson is putting on a highlight show on Fox Sports right now. I give no credence to it because Coach K doesn't find it prudent to play in basically a true road game until the ACC season because he's a bit of a wimp.
Also, the Citadel is leading somebody called Johnson 40-14.
He doesn't have to call me Johnson.
Enough of this nonsense about the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Let's bring some sanity to Sports Talk. And we welcome in South Carolina State football coach Buddy Pugh. Coach, how are you?
Hey, Phil. How are you?
Man, it's great to have you with us. I didn't want the season to go by. It goes by so quickly without you getting back on with us, and we thank you very much, and glad to see you winning some ball games here down the stretch, and you've got Savannah State coming up this week, and then a makeup game, right? Don't you have a makeup game the following week?
Exactly. We've got North Carolina Central the following week, Thanksgiving weekend. So we've got 2 games left, and we are 4-5, and we're trying to crawl above 500, Phil, somehow. Though.
That would be great for you, I know. How about the development of your team as the season has gone on? Where do you see the improvement happening here down the stretch?
Well, we've developed our young offensive line, and our quarterbacks start to come around. Tyrese Nick from over at Johnston, South Carolina Strom Thurmond High School, is really starting to play good for us. And he was always a guy that could run around and make some plays with his feet, but he's really got a good idea of what we're trying to accomplish offensively now. So he knows, where most of everybody is, and he's starting to throw the ball a little bit too. So we've had a lot of fun seeing this guy run around here in the last, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 games. And then after he started kind of having some success, then we've got a bevy of running backs, a bunch of young kids, freshman guys. Omar Cummins from down in Beaufort, from Rico Greer, from up in Lancaster, South Carolina, those kind of names. So we've got some good players starting to develop, and they're all really young. So we've got a young team starting to come around for us.
Looking at what you guys have done, obviously early in the year, it was a bit of a struggle, but you have come on of late with 4 wins in the last 5. Has there been a common thread just over as of late that has caused you guys to somewhat find yourselves?
I think it has been. We've, as I said earlier, just kind of gotten, the right people in the right places. Coach Bennett Swigert on the offense has really done a nice job of getting us going that way. LaShawn Goddard, I know you remember that name.
Yeah.
Is our offensive line guy. And, those guys along with Corey Jenkins and Fred Farrell have really done a nice job with our offensive side of the ball. And then Jonathan Saxon on defense is, done a nice job of coordinating our defense. He's a young guy that played at OW back some years back. And, those guys are starting to play pretty good over there too. So, it's been a combination of both sides of the ball. We kicked the ball pretty good. Got a young long snapper from over it. I know you don't hear much talk about long snappers from over Scott's Pringle. That's kind of long snappers land over there, Manning. Some of the Manning kids used to be snappers everywhere.
Yeah.
We got one a little bit farther down the road. So we got a bunch of guys, that's, just young as all get out there. You wouldn't believe how many freshmen and sophomores we playing that are just starting to kind of figure some things out.
Sure.
Yeah, you always want to play your best football at the end of the year, Coach. And I got to believe South Carolina State fans always like to put a hurting on Florida A&M. Do you think that was your finest game last weekend as far as execution is concerned?
Without a doubt, Tom. We played better overall in that game, I think, maybe than in the game the last 2 years. So, it was a lot of fun seeing those guys doing some of the things they did. We played good on both sides of the ball. We ran a kickback. It was a little bit of everything on that particular occasion that seemed to fall in place for us. So, you're exactly right. It was a lot of fun watching that game. I'm sure our fans enjoyed it immensely.
Talking with Buddy Pugh, football coach at South Carolina State. So what's ahead for you? I know going into this season, talk about this would be your final season, but you said, well, we'll wait and see what happens at the end of the year and go from there. Do you know at this point what your plans are going to be?
I know that I got 2 more games. And, we're going to do those 2 games, try to make them the best possible scenario for us. And then at that point, then we're going to sit down and talk and figure out, exactly what's next. But, we pretty much decided from the very beginning that we get through the season got a great AD, Stacey Danley. You kind of remember that name from back in the days of running back down to Auburn. Is really a good football guy. And, you know, my administration as a whole has tried to do its best job of supporting us in a way where we got a chance to have some success. So, you know, it's been fun. You know, if everything goes good, you know, and I get back for a year or so, you know, that would be great. But at the same time, you know, if they decide they want to do something else, then, you know, we can honor that too.
Sure. But if you had your druthers, if it were totally up to you, would you be back in 2019?
Well, if I had my druthers right now, I'd like to see if we can win these next 2 games. You know, that's about the only druthers I've got right now.
Well, those are big druthers.
I want a story. I talked to Bob Gillespie today.
Yeah.
You know, he was, you know, what are you going to do? I said, you know what? It's more fun, you know, having you guys trying to figure out what I'm going to do than it is really doing it. So, you know, we'll see. You know, we got another couple games. We're going to get through those games, and then at that point, then we'll figure it out.
All right, last thing then. No, you're going to figure it out. But I'm just trying to cover all avenues here. If for whatever reason you are not back at State, could you see yourself coaching somewhere else, or are you just going to ride off into the sunset?
You know what? You know, I don't know that either. I probably just kind of ride on off into the sunset. But at the same time, you never say never, you know, in this business. So, you know, I'm being awfully doggone coy here, I'm sure. You know, but at the same time, I really don't know, Phil. You don't know the situation until you deal with all the hypotheticals, you know?
Absolutely. Well, good luck this week, and next week we'll be keeping in touch, watching closely, and be great for you to finish up with a winning record, wouldn't it?
It sure would. I hope we can win these next 2 games, but, you know, if my kids get where they are, you know, we got a good shot at it.
We thank you, Coach. Good luck.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks for joining us, Buddy Pugh, South Carolina State. I hope it goes well. Love to see Buddy win out, and whatever Mr. Danley, the AD at South Carolina State, wants to do and discussing with Buddy, I hope it works out to the satisfaction of everybody concerned here.
Seems like a guy who doesn't really want to hang it up yet, but wants to go out on the right note and on his own terms. And that's, I think, kind of where he's sitting right now, just dissecting it.
He wants to coach next year. You can hear talk about those young players.
Absolutely.
It's almost like you think, wait a minute, now we got some guys next year that know how to shave. I want to see what they can do now that they got some wins under their belt.
All right, quickly, back to the phones. We'll open up the express lines, except for recruiting coming up after the break, because we've got a lot of important recruiting stuff for you, so stay tuned for that. But let's hit some more calls, and it is Singing Tiger going to try it again. Hopefully the phone is working better. 60 seconds. Singing Tiger, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Phil.
Yes.
I want to thank you for trying to ramp things up. One thing that Spurrier did, he really pushed the rivalry. I really appreciated it, really did. But there's not much talk coming out of the Gamecocks this year. You know, it's quiet. But in any case, so I'm going to sing a little diddly here to try and get things cooking up again. It's a little Elvis Presley rendition of Hound Dog.
Okay. All right. Got about 45 seconds.
Well, you ain't nothing but a shincock, trying all the time. Well, you ain't nothing but a lame cock, lying all the time. Can't play football and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, you ain't nothing but a shincock.
Will's enjoying this.
All the time.
I'm trying to do the drums for the song.
Lying all the time. Well, you think you're hot. You beat Tennessee, but that was the basement of the SEC. Well, you ain't nothing but a shincock.
All right. All right. We thank you. That's good stuff. If you're a Clemson fan, Gamecocks are laying low and being quiet because I think they sense something.
They say Sandstorm can't save you up in the hills of the Pickens.
Might not need it. Jake
Come
Bentley.
on.
Jake
Come
Bentley, magic
on.
on.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
So the pride of the Southland Conference has put a little scare into Clemson, 29-26, final 90 seconds of the opening half at Littlejohn Coliseum. Clemson's still shooting pretty well, 45%, 3 of 11 from downtown, but Sam Houston State has hit 4 of its last 5 field goals to make a game out of this one here in the opening half. Marquise Reed played 17 minutes. He has scored 10. This is the final stateside game for Clemson before they head to the Cayman Islands next week.
VMI and Upstate tied at 31. They're at halftime. And for Upstate, Mazzone has 7. Booker has 9. So that's a good start there. And the Citadel is crushing Johnson 57-28. And they're still in the first half. Okay.
Sorry. What? I'm sorry.
I said nothing. I said they're crushing.
No, it's where his mind is right now.
That's not my problem. Okay, that's his issue. He needs to go, have that dealt
with.
It's
like using the word erotic out of context.
I meant to say exotic.
I'm mesmerized by those erotic blitzes that Boston College was bringing against
Trevor Lawrence. I think erotic can be used in that case as well because
I wouldn't.
Hardly, Scarlett, hardly.
I really meant exotic. Okay, long recruiting report here. Exotic recruiting report. Update the signing stuff today. South Carolina has signed its one commitment who was scheduled to sign today. Wildens Levesque, he signed this afternoon. Trey Hannibal will sign tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Nothing in on Clemson's guys yet. Not sure if they were signing today or later in the week, or at least I haven't seen anything, nothing from Clemson, nothing on Twitter to indicate such. Presbyterian signed 6'9" Owen McCormick of Advance, North Carolina, 6'4" C.J. Melton of Hoover, Alabama, 6'6" R.J. Wilson of Raleigh. Wofford signed 6'3" Hunter Couture of Orlando and 6'5" Zach Irvin, Gate City, Virginia. Charleston Southern signed 6'8" Terrence Porter Jr. from Atlanta, and he attends a prep school called the Skill Factory in Atlanta.
Interesting.
I went to a prep school known as the I'm missing a good joke
Phil
here.
Factory.
No.
School of Hard Knocks?
No. This would be actually for you. What's that restaurant? The something factory?
Cheesecake Factory?
There you go. The Cheesecake Factory. That was your prep school. The Cheesecake Factory.
No, not quite.
6'1" Talon Cooper of Dorman signed with Morehead State. Now, if you're just joining us and you didn't hear the news from earlier, the South Carolina women got the commitment of 6'3" Letitia Amahir. I'm sure she went ahead and signed out of Ontario. Also, Bray Beal, 6-foot point guard, shooting guard out of Illinois, signed her letter of intent with USC. They've confirmed that, and they will sign Zia Cook, 5'9" out of Toledo. All 3 top 15 nationally recruits. They're still waiting on Rakia Jackson, 6'2" out of Detroit. They're in the finals with her. Haley Jones, 6'1" out of Santa Cruz, California, is another one that they are strongly involved with. Another, Samantha Brunel, 6'2", out of Ruckersville, Virginia, all for the USC women.
And Boston.
Reached the half.
Leah Boston. Out of the
I don't have her on my
she's
on my list.
She's the top pivot.
Now, I don't claim to be the guru of women's basketball.
Neither do I.
Shelton Mitchell with a 3-pointer just before the half has given Clemson a 32-30 lead going into the break. Sam Houston State pulled ahead by a point, but Clemson will take the halftime lead.
Okay, we continue with the recruiting report for tonight. 6'6" Josiah James of Portugal signed his LOI with Tennessee today. 6'1" Tommy Bruner of Gray Collegiate, not signing until the spring. Howard, College of Charleston, Missouri State, St. Bonaventure, Yale, and Hofstra schools showing him the most interest. Clemson offered 2021 6'6" point guard Wesley Cardette, Fort Lauderdale. That's according to Prep Hoops, Florida. This is also the baseball signing period. USC and Clemson with several commitments who are putting names to paper today. I'm not going to go over the entire list, but both have good recruiting classes lined up. Now to football. Quarterback Ryan Helinski signed his financial aid papers today with USC. For those of you not familiar with this practice, you can actually, if you are a mid-year graduate and you are enrolling in January and you make a decision, you can actually sign financial aid papers starting August 1. That's a rule of the NCAA. Actually, it's a rule that's been around for a long time, but back a few years ago, they issued an interpretation that I guess had been overlooked. So you can sign starting August 1. He signed today. And what this does is it still doesn't bind the player to the school. It does bind the school to the player, but it also allows now free communication between coaches and players. And coaches can now also talk about him. Like if at a press conference, if Muschamp wants to talk about Ryan Helinski, he's free to do so without any stipulations against that. Now, South Carolina is in the hunt again with cornerback Chris Steele of Bellflower, California, good friend of Helinski's, not from the same team. Actually, his quarterback is DJ Ugalele, and they're undefeated, trying to win the mythical high school national championship. He's a former Southern Cal commitment. He's going to sign December 19th, plans to enroll early. He's not going to announce until January 5th at the Army All-American game. So he said the school he signs with will not put that out, will not include him on their early signee list. So this is going to be interesting as this thing moves forward. He took an official visit to USC in June. Then he went to Southern Cal, committed to the Trojans in July, but the Gamecocks continued to recruit him with Muschamp and Travaris Robinson. He said they never left. They're still one of the schools that kept recruiting me all the way through. Says, I've been in contact with Coach Muschamp and Coach T-Rob quite a bit. They feel I can come in, have a huge impact on the program. They're not too deep at my position, so they could really use me, really. He has taken officials to Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, as well as South Carolina. The schools he's most serious with are USC, Oklahoma, Florida, Georgia, Southern Cal, UCLA, and Oregon. And he says what's going to separate one from the rest is the place where he feels like he's going to be developed for the NFL.
Only thing that really stinks is they can't suit him up and play next week.
Really? Helinski is in touch with him. He said that they were just together last Thursday, and he said Helinski always lets him know how much he wants him at South Carolina. USC commitment receiver Kevion Mullins has set his official for December 7th. Same thing with another Gamecock commitment, tight end Keyshawn Toney.
For that big game against Akron.
2021 corner Jeray Foster of Woodstock, Georgia will visit Clemson Saturday. 2021 athlete Jordan Burrell of Blythewood will visit Wake Forest on Saturday. USC target cornerback Jalen Perry will take an official to Michigan this weekend. He's been up there unofficially. He's taken 2 unofficials to USC for games this season. He plans to return for an official. Florida and Auburn, the other 2 on his list. And 2020 receiver Porter Rooks of Charlotte, who has a USC offer and who drew interest from Clemson, named a top 8 tonight of Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Florida, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma. His brother, Patrick, was once a basketball player at Clemson before transferring out. And that's it for recruiting for now. Check it out on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. That's Pete Yanitator doing the game on TV for the Tigers today.
Randy Yana, what?
Yanitator.
That's interesting.
Very quickly, Mark in Beach Island, where there is no beach and there is no island. Welcome into Sports Talk. You get the final 60 seconds.
Hey, Phil, can you briefly explain real quick the rule regarding Notre Dame being the highest independent in the playoff? And are they out undefeated? Are they out if Georgia pulls a miracle in the SEC championship? Thanks a lot. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Sounds a lot like Will, doesn't he? Will Merritt, his voice. I don't think it has anything to do with it being the top-ranked independent. When the committee looks at it, they look for the top, what they think are the top 4 teams, regardless of leagues. That's why you can have multiple teams from one league. So the fact that they're the top independent, that's irrelevant. If they think that Notre Dame is among the top 4. Now, if Georgia beats Alabama, I think you're going to have Georgia and Alabama. They're not going to kick Alabama out of the playoffs.
No. I think
assuming they don't stumble against the Citadel this weekend.
I think
Citadel's done it before.
Yeah, I think he's thinking about an old bowl rule.
Yeah, that's an antiquated rule.
When Notre Dame was, if Notre Dame was 8-3, they could get in one of the top bowls.
That doesn't apply anymore.
That's over.
We'll see you from the ultimate tailgate party in Rock Hill tomorrow night. See you then.